Hello my beautiful people, welcome to the last in the series of the triplicities. So today, as you can see, we are doing the fire triplicity. So I saved this one till last because, as many of you know, I am a Leo ascendant, so it's kind of like just a little bit of favoritism, but not too much. There's that vanity and pride coming in that everybody talks about. All jokes aside, I just want to say again, thank you so much for the amazing response that I've had to this particular mini-series that I've done. It really does mean the world that you guys love these so much, and the comments have been absolutely phenomenal, and I'm hoping that you enjoy these things for a long time to come. Also, worth mentioning, I have got a whole bunch of stuff that I'm going to be releasing over the next sort of 2-3 months, so I really hope that you enjoy them. Stay tuned because there's going to be all kinds of different topics and I'll be delving into all different types of things. So as always, I've got my trusty notes and I've got my board. So the fire triplicity. Fire, you know, fire, fire burning bright. Fire, fire, bring my desire. It's all about passion, being spirited, and you know, I'm going to go into all of that, and the fact that it's dynamic, and some of the other stuff as well that people don't mention about healing, not yet, about fire. So the fire triplicity: Aries, Leo, Sagittarius. Now I touched on this in all of the other videos actually, but I'm going to do it here just in case you don't get round to seeing any of the others. The three modes of an element are cardinal, fixed and mutable. So Aries is the cardinal fire sign. Cardinal signs start a season. They come at the beginning of a season. It's like the first, it's the first sign that will go through, the season will go through. And I liken the cardinal signs to the mind, and it's really interesting as well that Aries rules the head, right? It rules the face, and I found that really interesting because Capricorn share that same attribute. They're both cardinal signs, and they're all to do with the mind. But yeah, as in Aries, detracting from Aries, and you know how they feel about that. I'm teasing. So yes, Aries is the cardinal fire sign. It's the first sign of the zodiac. It's right at the head, right at the forefront, wants to be the pioneer, right out there, even going out as a pioneer, being out on a limb if they have to, as long as it gets done. Leo is the fixed sign. And I see the fixed signs. When you think about fixed, you think about something rigid or something solid. And I see the fixed signs as representing the physical body. I really do. So you've got the three attributes of the human being: mind, body and spirit. And then you've got Sagittarius, which represents the mutable sign. So just a word as well, Leo representing the fixed sign or the body. Fixed signs are in the middle of a season. They're what sustain the season and continue its legacy. The mutable signs represent the spirit, and they're called mutable because they're also changeable. They are the period where transition happens and they go into the next thing. And Sagittarius is the mutable fire sign. So you've got Aries, Leo and Sagittarius. Mind, body and spirit. When you're talking about Aries, like we said, confidence, being bold, being out there at the forefront, being the pioneer. Leo, being proud. And when we talk about proud, this is one of the things, it gets a negative rap, but one of the positive attributes of pride, when you think about it like this, is when you've worked on something and really pushed for it and put your heart, Leo, and soul into something to really do your best on it, you stand back and you have a moment of proud. You have a proud moment. You have a moment of pride. Pride can be a positive thing if it's channeled in the right way. The other thing about Leo is about authority. It's about being in charge, but it's also about creativity and the heart and generosity for that reason. One of the things that people often miss about Leos is they got a massive heart, not just in terms of aren't wonderful and preening themselves and all the rest of it, but also that big heart is very much applied to the generosity. Sagittarius, the mutable fire sign, is all about what's out there in the world. It's about the future. I was trying to figure out that word. It's about the future. It's about what is next. And I very often see Sagittarius as If Aquarius was the tribe and the group consciousness, Sagittarius would be the group soul. And that's the only way that I can kind of explain it. Sagittarius is about philosophy, about the higher mind. It's about the higher ideals of life for all people involved across the board. So that's just like a mini rundown of the 3 signs and what they're about. And these signs, these fire signs, triplicity, 3, these signs in the zodiac actually trine each other, which, a trine is a harmonious aspect. It is an aspect in astrology that gives you an easy type of energy. So if you decide to do something or take a specific course of action, if you've got a trine energy supporting it, it gives you that support to make it happen that much easier. Whereas and one of the things that I often see with trines as well is it tends to be almost like a bit of a lazy energy. So because it's there, it's like, I'll do something with it eventually. And then, sometimes the opportunity tends to pass us by. So a trine opportunity is the energy is there if you want to do a certain thing, but you will have to actually get it started or make it happen yourself. So let's talk about the houses that each one of these signs rule. So Aries, the original cardinal sign, like Aries, fire, right out the gate, me, I'm here. Absolutely love that about them. Aries is ruled by the first house, and in the first house you find the self, the identity. Very often you find your physical body attribute and type, which is really interesting because when you look at the first house in astrology, depending on the sign that falls in the first house, you tend to see what type of attributes physically they will get. So if you've got a Taurus ascendant, they tend to have quite a defined jawline. An Aries ascendant, some say that this is like the shape of the ram, so they'll have like really pronounced and very good eyebrows and a face that's quite pleasing but also quite striking. And the first house, like I said, it's your identity, it's the self, it's you, it's who you are in your entirety. The Leo, in terms of the fixed sign of the fire signs, is ruled by the 5th house, or rules the 5th house. And in the 5th house you find your creativity. It's the house of children, sex, pleasure, enjoyment, the 5 sense reality, the things that you do for joy, the things that you do for pleasure. It's also your creativity. And when we talk about your creativity, that doesn't mean that everybody because we've all got a 5th house in our chart, right? It doesn't mean that we're all concerned with those things. Some people don't have children, so their creativity will be expressed in another way. And the 5th house, you tend to find, it's your luck as well. That's one of the other things that I like about it. If you want to look at your money stuff, should you make a gamble, check your 5th house to see what's happening there at the time. If you want to make any sort of speculative moves, look at the 5th house. And then you've got Sagittarius, which rules the 9th house, the house of foreign cultures, the house of the higher ideologies, university, higher school, philosophy, foreign cultures. I think I already said that. And these are all different attributes. Each one of these houses represents something different in your chart. And these houses all trine each other in the chart, which, like I said, it's that harmonious energy. So let's look at the numerology, the numerological links as well. I'm loving this because it's actually fantastic. So 1, in terms of the numerology, is the pioneer. It's the self. It's the driving force. Also been called the primum mobile, which is like, I think it directly translates as prime moving force. So when you talk about the number 1 in numerology, it's about that being the pioneer, being at the forefront, very Aries like. And if you haven't seen it, check out the Earth triplicity video as well, because I talk about Capricorn and the similarities with that. So yeah, the numerological, the house that it rules, number 1, and the numerology of it really coincide. They're really intricately linked, and that's what I found about this. I love it. I think it's brilliant. 5 is the number of change. It's about freedom. It's about expression and joy joy, it's about sex and sensuality, the five sense reality. You know, it's all about what you can touch, what you can taste, what you can enjoy, what pleasure there is. It's about movement, it's about being dynamic. And when I think about, you know, when we think about Leo, there's a lot of famous people that have Leo either on the ascendant or at the midheaven, or, you know, it's got a whole stellium of planets in there. When you look at a lot of famous people, they have a prominent Leo in some way, shape or form. And I find that really interesting. One of the things as well that they say about Leo is the tail. A lot of Leos tend to have like really big hair, wild hair, gregarious hair. And I tell you a funny story, I don't have much of it left now, but in my younger years, that was one of the things that everybody used to say, like, your hair, man, it was long, and I used to have plaits, and one week I'd have something else going on, just constantly changing it. That's probably why it gave up on me in the end. All that aside, you know, the number 5 is a very dynamic number. It's a very sort of, in essence as well, when you look at some of the more intense attributes of the number 5 in numerology, it is a number that will do things to shock or to get attention. So yeah, I thought that might be worth mentioning. And then the number 9, this is about completions, it's about enlightenment, it's about what is next. The number 9 in numerology wraps up a cycle, and it always asks you that question, what is next? Sagittarius then rules the future. You know, where do we go from here? I've got my eye on something there. You know, in deference, and I think that's probably why Sagittarius and Aquarius get on so well, because it's about, you know, what is the bigger, what is the meaning behind it. The number 9 loves to look at meaning, because it likes to look at everything that's already passed and decide with that information where to go next, what to do next, what's going to be beneficial for everybody involved. The number 9 is also the number of enlightenment, and when you think about the 9th house, you think it's the house of religion, of philosophy, the higher ideals, reaching a place of spirituality within, you know, finding meaning in things, finding the spiritual meaning in things. Very, very number 9, you know, like really, really interesting crossovers with the numerology and the houses that they rule. I really find that fascinating. And Sagittarius is the hips and the butt. I think, yeah, the hips, the butt and the thighs. So yeah, you know, so maybe that's one of the things I'll put out as a comment and see what people come up with. So some of the buzzwords that I've got for the fire triplicity: fun, vibrant, dynamic, energetic. When you think of fire, right, it moves, it leaps, it jumps, it consumes, it's all consuming. That's another thing about the fire signs. They're very spirited, but they're very consuming, they're very captivating. And it's really true. When you think about it, Madonna is a Leo. Whether you love her, whether you loathe her, people are fascinated with her. Who's another really, I hate to say it, but old flappy hair that's causing a lot of problems at the moment has got a prominent Leo as well. You know, there's loads of really famous people that have got a really prominent Leo. Fire is forceful and it's changeable. And one of the things when you say about fire being changeable, it can spread any which way. It doesn't move in lines. It doesn't move. It just goes where it will, where it wants. Purifying, that's one of the things that people don't talk about in terms of fire. You use fire, yes, fair enough, you're heating the water, but you use fire to purify your food, to heat the water so that it gets rid of any parasites. Fire can be very, very cleansing and very, very healing if you use its energy in the right way, if it's directed in the right way. Fire can bring you so much in the way of healing and purification. Spirited, movable, intense, we talked about that. Passionate. I mean, one of the things that you can definitely say about all of the fire signs in some way, shape or form, they are all passionate, especially when you think about, I mean, these two in obvious ways. But when you think about Sagittarius, lots of people say they're quite feisty, and I think it's more just the case of they speak the truth, because that's one of the other things that's associated with Sagittarius. And so because of that, they tend to just kind of say it as they see it. And some people are a bit like, clutch my pearls, like, did they really just say that? Like, yeah, absolutely they did. And very often it's not even to get a rise out of someone, it's just because they're speaking what they believe to be the truth. Whether they actually are or not is one of the things that needs to be determined, and obviously it's situation delineated. Inspirational, bold, confident, expressive. You can tell, because I'm always, justification is a big thing with me. Fire is capricious. I've heard that in a book, and it said fire is a capricious mistress, and I love that, because it means that there's like an element of you're not quite sure what you will get, and in that way it's kind of mysterious as well, and very demonstrative. These are all words and attributes of fire and fire signs, of people that are ruled by fire or have a lot of fire in their chart. So we talked about what's important to the different triplicities, and for the fire signs, it's actions and deeds. These are things that are all really important to the fire signs, and they're expressed in different ways. So Aries will express this through bravery, honesty, action, following orders, but also laying out those orders. They'll be at the forefront and they'll set the rules, and then they'll say, right, this is how we're all going forward. And very often they adhere to them. Find a lot of people in security or police officers or lawyers tend to be a lot of Aries people. You find that. The Leo will express this through courage, through honesty, generosity, and authority. There is a slight difference. When you think about leadership, you're talking about Aries. When you think about authority, you're thinking more about Leo, because it's got that kingly sort of king queen type presence about it. Do you see? And you see that it's a very subtle difference, a very, very subtle difference, but it is a difference nonetheless. Fame as well with Leo. This is another thing that they like to be popular. They tend to be popular. They like to be liked. And then notoriety as well. I don't think I've ever met anyone with a Leo that doesn't like attention in some way, shape or form. And you do get quiet Leos. You get people, Leos that are sort of a bit more subdued and a bit more to themselves. And there's nothing wrong with that. There are many shades of all different signs. And then finally, Sagittarius will express this through philosophy, inspiration, inclusion. How can we include everybody? How can we bring all of us into the fold? Warmth is one of the things, and a supportive energy that you get from Sagittarius. So like I said, they're all different signs. They all represent different modes. They've got different attributes, and they will express that energy in different ways, and they'll all have a different way of feeling and presenting that energy, of being demonstrative. So fire is the domain of actions and deeds. It's physical, spiritual, and dynamic. And thus concludes the fire triplicity. I hope this has helped you in some way. You can probably see I'm a bit more perky with this one, and maybe it's because it's the last in the series, so I'm a bit more sure of what I'm doing. So yeah, brilliant, absolutely brilliant, and I've really enjoyed this, and like I said, your response has been absolutely phenomenal. So I hope that you've enjoyed this. I hope you found it fun, informative. I hope it really helps you, with that note, I'm going to stop talking. Take care. I'll see you very soon for more videos. Love.